afternoon, Generation W, and welcome back to Refresh. As you know, this is a time to connect, be inspired, to learn something new, and ultimately feel a bit better about ourselves and this time we spend together. And I have to say, spending time together is really important. It's such an important element of our own mental health and that of each other. So I am so glad you're all here. How is everyone doing? I always ask that question. I expect to say, we're fine.
We're fine.
So here we go. I'm going to just, to go or not to go, to do or not to do. Maybe you had those questions. Do you pose them to yourself? Maybe even showing up here today. But for me, this past weekend was an annual event that I so appreciate. It's truly a privilege to have the opportunity to attend. The excitement of NBA All-Star. For me, it's the seeing of old friends and colleagues. It's catching up. It's discussing industry happenings, dare I say a little gossip. Shall we mention the rise of women's basketball popularity? And of course, there was a tremendous amount of hoopla around this three-point challenge. Steph Curry answering Sabrina Ionescu's quest for determining three-point supremacy, Steph or Sabrina. The promise of a great experience was all there. And yet, even knowing all that, how could I even hesitate, right? To go or not to go, to do or not to do. I truly question. So much to do at home. Emails to answer. Steph, Sabrina emails? Yes, questioning. Invites for Generation W to go out? My mom, my dad, I had to pay the bills. You do this? Yet things circulating, all these things in my brain, serving to almost short circuit my trip. But ultimately, I did answer. To go, yes. To do, and always best to do, yes. Because I was focusing then on my purposeful mission and my purpose. Fill up my tank so I can then share in filling up others. Because this is a weekend where I truly find education, inspiration, and connection. Generation W sound like that? And in so doing, I look forward to sharing all of that forward. Know your purpose, live into it. Aha. And so, who better to speak today about the topic of conversation, purpose, than the venerated professor, spectacular leader in our own right, and now proud chair of the board of Generation W. Actually, could we be more proud? No. Dr. Olenda Johnson has graced the Generation W stage and brought us to our feet with her words and her insights. And she'll do so again on April 5th, when you too, hello, can have the chance to join us in Jacksonville and or virtually, wherever you may be, for a day that someone shared last night. And actually, there's some people that were there last night. So you'll recall, unprompted and unsolicited, I attended Generation W last year, and I felt inspired for the following 6 months. It just lifted me up. You too can be inspired for the following 6 months. Anyway, Professor Olenda Johnson advances leadership development for the US Navy at the US Naval War College. She advises and supports senior military leaders, develops strategy, and leads team efforts. She's a passionate teacher and educator. She's recognized for her teaching expertise within professional military education institutions and beyond. And before we really dig in, I want to ask all of you to help me congratulate Dr. Johnson, because she's recently recognized as the pioneer she is by the Coast Guard Academy. Yet another, right? We just said other military institution. I love this photo. Because what it did was, and she'll talk to us about this, it's the 75th anniversary, yes?
Yes.
Executive orders 9981 and 9980 issued by President Truman in 1948.
Yeah.
And as we celebrate Black History Month as well, Dr. Johnson is the first African-American woman to serve on the faculty of the US Army War College, the Naval War College, and the first Black faculty member to earn the rank of full professor. So tell us a little bit about this. Did you have that to go, not to go, to presentation?
Well, first of all, venerated is a really big word that you use to describe it. I appreciate that. I'm not sure I would use venerated, but I appreciate that. I love you, Donna. So I'll give you a little context of that picture and why it's so powerful. So, the military was desegregated back 75 years ago. So, it was a celebration of that. And there's an organization in the military, in the Navy, that coordinated this particular event. We ended up sitting on this stage and realizing there's just this whole stage of firsts. So, on that stage, you have the very first Black naval officer to command a aircraft carrier. You have the very first Black admiral who is the superintendent of the Coast Guard Academy. And you have one of the very first young Coast Guardians to command a ship. And so it's just all of these amazing firsts, that just kind of catches you. The thing that really hit me from this picture is, as we talk about Black history, is we're all living first, right? And so it's a reminder that there's still a lot of history to be made. There's history that's happening in the moment, as well as the history that we celebrate in the past. So that's why that one's pretty powerful for me.
It's powerful. You know what? It's powerful
Yeah.
for all of us. I mean, it's
Yeah.
really important that we celebrate these milestones, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
as we teach our
Absolutely.
generation WOW girls, as you well know,
Yeah.
I'll say you can be what you can see. And so
Right.
seeing
Right. Mm-hmm.
inspires it all. But it's
Mm-hmm.
even more for our young girls of color. It's for
Mm-hmm.
all of our colors that
Yeah.
we share the opportunity and the possibilities that we can become together. And I
Yeah.
love that, and I can't
Yeah.
tell you how proud I am. So thank you for that. I want to say Dr. Hicks just sent you a congratulations, which is very
It's one of my sorority sisters.
all
That's
those
awesome.
sorors, we got to stick together.
Yeah.
As so proud of that. And hello to Jennifer Berman and Jennifer Monk, and Maggie is back. Hey, Maggie. There's so many nice people who are joining us. Susan and Zara. Actually, Zara probably missed the fact that it was her I quoted. All right, so today we're here to talk about purpose and leadership. You are a specialist. You lead not only in the words you deliver, but in the life that you showcase to us. And you're not about showcasing anything. You're the most humble person I know. But let's talk a little bit about purpose. We all talk about finding our purpose, living into our purpose. Most people say, I don't know what my purpose is. Where do we start?
Yeah. So before I jump into that question, because of the role that I have at the Naval War College, I have to throw out a disclaimer. And so that disclaimer very quickly is that all of the views that I will express are mine and don't necessarily represent the views, the policies, positions of the Department of Defense, the Department of the Navy, or the Naval War College. Done.
We appreciate that. But all I can say is for them to have somebody like you teaching our leadership lets us know that good things are being said, taught, and learned. So thank you for
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I'm grateful for the privilege, but I think that also sort of speaks into this idea of purpose. I share with your team that I've been on this personal purpose journey for about a year now as my season of transition is happening and I'm trying to figure out my next steps. And what I am realizing is just the power of recognizing not only your gift, but the reason for that gift, right? So for me, I know that I have been blessed with the gift of teaching. I love teaching. It is absolutely my passion. But what I'm really coming to appreciate, what gets me excited about that thing is what it achieves. And for me, that is recognizing the power and the joy that comes from pouring into other people. So I have this gift, but the purpose of this gift is to pour into others. And so if I were to ask think about your question, how do you know what your purpose is? And I don't have any great wisdom here. I'm not a particular expert. I can only share from my story. It really comes from that thing that excites you the most. It comes from that thing that makes you say, that's what I needed to do. That's exactly why this was so important. That's exactly why I continue to do this thing or continue to do this effort. I am fulfilling my purpose.
Yeah, no, and that's really important. So I'd like to ask, listen, everybody knows
Yeah.
the joy of coming together for these refreshes.
Yeah.
Everybody who's on Zoom, everybody who's joining us on Facebook, Like, let us know, pop it up here. Like, what gives you joy and how do you think that
Mhm.
relates to your purpose? I think taking it from your brain and actually putting it in print
Yes, yes.
are the process, right?
Yes, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I've been doing that writing myself. Again, it's one of those where you experience it, but as I've been taking the time and just sort of writing out, what is it about this experience? What is it about teaching? What is it about these opportunities for these types of conversations and events that really move me, motivate me, and make me feel as though I am fulfilling my purpose and my calling.
Right. All right. We're gonna
Yeah,
hopefully people can do that. And you know what? Here's the
yeah.
other thing about purpose. It's not a one-stop destination, is it?
Mm-mm, not even close, not even close. So for me, because I have this passion for teaching, I used to really just only think about it in terms of, being in a classroom or an academic setting. But I give you and another really good friend, Dr. Janice Brewington, who is a leader with the National League for Nursing, for helping me appreciate that I could fulfill my purpose in different settings outside of the classroom by giving me opportunities to be on a stage and share my story and pour into people through those experiences. And so, therefore, your purpose becomes multi oriented and it can manifest in so many different ways. We have options.
You do have options. How did the US Naval War College
Mhm.
become your option?
The Naval War College actually found me. I was teaching at a HBCU University, North Carolina A&T. I remembered this so vividly. This is why I know this was my purpose and my calling. I can tell you the date. It was September 30th, 2009. And someone from the War College, who I didn't know, called me. He had been referred to me from someone I did know. And he said, we need some help with X. You've been brought to our attention, and I'm calling to see if we can convince you to move to Rhode Island. I said, let me pray about it. And 3 weeks later, I was in Rhode Island. Oh, I forgot the most important part. He said, we don't have an official position in place, but we still would like to have you. So, a big part of that was stepping out on faith. As you know, I have very strong faith. And so stepping out on faith, 3 weeks later, I was interviewing for a position that didn't exist. But that whole experience ended up just showing me that my opportunities for living my purpose and calling expand beyond what I can visually just establish for myself.
Right. And
Yeah.
so then what happened?
Then what happened was I ended up coming to the War College and figuring out that I could use my gifts of teaching in a space in a way that I hadn't thought about. Here's a for example. So rather than just thinking about teaching in front of the classroom, I ended up engaging with a lot of senior leaders and helping them think and helping them understand. And I realized that I was pouring into them, helping them be better, helping them be stronger, helping them gain more confidence, and then ended up creating this work that I do with our admirals and our senior leaders across the Navy and the Marines, actually.
And have you ever served in the military?
No, no, no. I am pure civilian, 100%. Now, my dad was in the Air Force. So my dad is retired Air Force. I have some familiarity with the Air Force, and I've done some research with the military and that type of thing, but had never served in the military. But
And I ask you that for a reason.
yeah,
I think
yeah.
especially as women, we
Hmm.
tend to think we can only do something
Yes,
purposeful or in our
yes,
if it's related to something we are exactly doing now
yes,
or have done in the past.
exactly.
And here you are at the
Mhm.
pinnacle getting
Yeah,
recognized. And
yeah,
you step into a place where, by what we just heard, there was no one
yeah,
that looks like you.
yeah. Nope.
I don't, there's, right?
Yeah,
And
no,
the
yeah,
people that you are teaching
yeah,
are very different. And
yeah,
yet you are able to create a successful connection and
yeah,
provide incredible value, not to only to these individual leaders, but
yes,
to our greater country.
yes, yeah. So I
That
love the way
was
you.
kind of hard leap to make.
Yeah, no, no, no. Well, see, I love the way you set that up, Donna, because as I'm reflecting on this real time, my ability to do that is because one, my faith, and two, the focus on the gift and the purpose as opposed to focusing on the people and the circumstance. Because if I think about the fact that, I'm an undergraduate business school professor and I'm standing here in front of all of these two-star admirals who are looking at me like, okay, what are you going to teach me? Yeah, I'm overwhelmed and thinking I shouldn't be in this space. But if I'm standing there and thinking about my purpose, that I have something to pour into them, I understand what their need is and I can contribute to that need, then it takes all of that other I shouldn't be here away, if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
It makes unbelievable sense. I mean, I know today we're
Yeah.
talking about purpose, but you
Yeah.
really talk about part of getting in the way of finding your purpose.
Yes.
How many women in particular, I'm not going to say
Yeah.
men feel this way.
Yeah.
It's the
Yeah.
imposter syndrome. We
Right.
put ourselves in the position to say, wait a
Yeah.
second, I don't belong here. And you're
Yeah.
telling us, no,
Yeah, yes, you
you belong
absolutely do. I
here.
cannot tell you how many times just recently, I can't even remember the circumstance, but I was having a conversation with, it might have been a group of students at the Naval War College, might be a class that I teach, and these are highly select folks who are there. And if I can just add some context to Naval War College, these are senior folks, so these are the colonels and so forth. And they're sort of talking about their experiences, and I remember I had to stop, and male and female, and say, you all do know that you're good, right? You do realize that you're good, but we can be so encumbered, by our circumstances, or we just sort of take for granted that, hey, I'm just doing my job. I'm just doing, without really appreciating just the magnitude of what you're doing and what it reveals about your capacities and what it really reveals about your abilities. And yeah, so we tend to overlook that, right? And just, for the record, that imposter syndrome, I deal with senior admirals and generals who suffer from that same challenge. And I know people, you see people on the outside like, oh, you have all this responsibility and so forth and so on, but we're human. We're people. We are
Exactly.
human. Yeah.
But I think it's really important, right? 2-star admiral, 3-star admiral, 4-star general. I mean,
Mhm.
everybody is plagued with a sense of
Yes.
doubt.
Yes.
Perhaps that humility makes us better until the point it doesn't. So I love what Pam Simon just said. I'm so receiving what you are saying right now,
Yeah.
contributing to that need, which is like so beautiful.
Yeah.
Um,
Thanks,
it
Pam.
It reminds me of a new friend of mine who, as a CFO,
Yeah.
she needs to own the fact she has done remarkable work. She
Mhm.
stands tall in value amongst us, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And yet having a safe space like this to be able to just even say, wait a second, I'm not sure that I feel it, but all of us to let you know, even
Yeah.
you, Olenda, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You have value,
Yeah.
right?
Oh
You
my
have
gosh. Yeah. 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 It's both that you have value and also just recognizing that you're not in your position by accident, right? Because that's the other thing that I encounter. I had, this, I was privileged to interact with one of our major naval units. We call them Air Force. So if you saw Top Gun, all the pilots and
I love
at all ranks, from the admirals to the most junior, had this event, and I contributed to the event. And I remember just being overwhelmed looking at all of these folks, knowing what it takes to be able to do what they do, and that they volunteered to do it, and the amount of training that goes into it. And I was having conversations with folks where you could see that, there was a level of unsurety and a lack of confidence. And particularly, I was speaking to two young women of color. They're pilots in the Air Force, in the Naval Air Forces. And I had to remind them, I said, you do belong here, right? You earned this, right? The Navy didn't just pick you to be here because of some external demographic. You had to have the talent and the skills and the capacities to do it. But sometimes we have these forces around us that make us not even see that value that we have and that value that we bring to the table, and that we deserve to be in the positions that we're in.
What are those forces? they seem to be prevalent. Like I too, Pam, am receiving this, and it's
Yeah,
making me
yeah,
think, and I assume all of you, please pop in your
yeah,
comments, ask your
yeah,
questions, check your
yeah,
Facebook. As I shared with Olenda, there's some women who are here. We hosted an event called No Friends, where it's a
yeah.
conversation shared among many.
Mm-hmm,
There's this ongoing thematic.
mm-hmm,
I would think that our purpose and our productivity in that purpose would be so much stronger if
mm-hmm.
we could better understand those forces and move beyond them. What do you think?
Yeah, well, I will offer just sort of my own experiences. And I know that sometimes I allow myself to be, I'll just say it this way, pushed off track by others' assessments of me or others' judgments of me or seeking value and approval from others rather than thinking about what I'm doing through the lens of my purpose. And so when I get frustrated, it's usually because I feel as though my contributions aren't being valued by someone else, right? And that's just real. And and it's particularly challenging when it's a senior person or an evaluator or that type of thing. But when I pull back and I look at the list of comments that I might get from students or an event, and someone very in a vulnerable way writes how they've been transformed by something I said, then that brings me back into the space that I need to be in and not feel those outside pressures of how others might view or judge me, right?
Yes.
Particularly as a Black woman, I know that many times when I am in spaces, there are assumptions being made. Yeah, I mean, we can do a whole session on all of that.
And I'm going to take you up on that for another day for sure.
Okay, right. But it's the point being that not allowing myself to get caught up in that and instead focus on my purpose and where my value and impact comes from, and making that impact, that restores my joy. That places me where I need to be.
Yeah, and I want everyone to hear that we are
Mm,
all capable of
mm,
restoring our joy as
mm.
we pursue the purpose. It may not
Yes.
be unbumpy, it may not be all smooth.
Mm,
And I'm not going to say that
gotcha.
all smooth is the best way to go. I think the
Right.
bumps give us resilience, right? Gives us
I
the
think, yeah,
tools in an unpredictable world. Now, here's Ruth.
absolutely.
Ruth sounds like an amazing woman.
She is.
And
That's
she says,
friend.
I am sure it's not without obstacles, is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
What have you found to be the most effective tactic in dealing with individuals who challenge your position? So
She,
your I hear your
mhm,
purpose, baby. I hear it now.
mhm,
That doesn't mean everyone's going to agree with your purpose, but it's your purpose.
yeah. Yeah. My most effective way is to not succumb to it and to instead remember why I am where I am. The short example, when I first started at the Naval War College, I had this Marine who just, he was basically, if you remember A Few Good Men, he was Colonel Jessup.
Oh
Just
God.
pushed back, excuse me, and just was pushed back in a crazy way, and said something to me, sent me an email and so forth and so on. But he ended it by saying, "May I remind you of who I am, and I need you to treat me that way. And my service chose me to be a student here at this prestigious institution." And at first, it just sort of knocked me off. But then I thought about it, I reflected on it, and I prayed about it. And I realized, oh, this imbalance is off, because he is talking about how this prestigious institution chose him to be a student. This prestigious institution chose me to be his professor, right? So what that does for me, the reason I use that as an example is when I am faced with that, and I don't always do it well, I'll be the first one to acknowledge there are times when I absorb that negative response. But what brings me back is to remind myself that I have been called here for a reason. I have been placed here for a purpose. I have been equipped to do what it is that I need to do, and no one can take that away from me.
Okay, I'm just loving Ruth's comment. Hi,
Yeah.
Ruth, I'm loving you. Awesome. She says awesome. Let me
Yeah.
just welcome everybody who missed the
Yeah.
top for joining us at REresh. This is a place to
Yeah.
come together to learn, be inspired, and just feel a little bit better. Today, we are with Dr. Olenda Johnson, the amazing leader and teacher of leadership at the United States Naval War College. We're talking about purpose and leadership and life and all the good
Yeah.
things we want to, right, embrace
Yeah.
so that we can
Yeah.
elevate ourselves and each other.
Yeah.
We always ask people, as you know, to give us kind of 3 tips that we can leave with. There's always
Yeah.
actionable items.
Right.
I thought that maybe this might be a good time to take a look at what
Yeah.
you teach
Yeah.
us, Professor.
Yeah. So yeah, you asked me, and so I put these together, and I have to say up front, I can't take full credit for these. These are takeaways that I have learned as I've been on my purpose journey, listening to different faith leaders or studying my scriptures or reading different things. This thing about affirmation, opportunities have surfaced for me that continue to affirm my purpose. And that can be the same for anyone. It is, if you love working with children, all of a sudden, all of these volunteer opportunities, for example, or this business idea or something will continue to affirm and get you excited about your purpose. The big revelation for me is that my purpose can be more than my position. Sometimes, we just, we can get locked into the work that we do, which is a good thing. But being able to see that the work that I do is more than the title, is more than the position, more than the nameplate on my office, but it's what I am able to do through that position. So for me, my position has become a platform for me to be able to pour into other people, which is my purpose. And then I think the last one is what we were just talking about a few minutes ago, is that when we are holding on to our purpose and we exist in less than perfect circumstances, it may be a difficult work situation, maybe a difficult professional relationship or personal relationship. Our purpose can help us rise above whatever that challenge happens to be. So that's my thought on those 3.
I was going to say, I feel like I'm in class now. Does anybody have?
I told you I was a teacher. I'm like,
I had
ready?
a chance to have a little pre-study on these questions, and
Okay.
I actually made a notes about that. But while I'm doing that, let me just I love Zara. Hey Zara. I love that the position is only in a point of time, but purpose is forever.
Ever. Yes. 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 Whoever said that, yes.
Right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Purpose is eternal.
Right. But let
Position
me
is
ask you,
temporal.
and purpose, and we're going to talk about this. Before I do, I just also want to mention that Larry Chambers and Larry and Sarah are here listening to our.
Oh my God. Oh, so you need to know Larry Chambers, that's Admiral Chambers. He was in that picture. He is the very first African-American to command an aircraft carrier in the United States Navy. Mr. Chambers, he played a pivotal role in the Vietnam War. The stories are massive. So if anybody wants to go Google Admiral Chambers, please do. And his wife is amazing. That's Miss Sarah.
Oh, can I just, let me ask you a question, Dr. Johnson. I am overwhelmed with emotion from just learning about him. I'm serious, like I'm getting teary-eyed. Why?
Oh, I'm telling you, when I first met him, tears, just tears.
Right? Wow, right? It's just, it's overwhelming for the service, for sure.
Yes.
That he's here to pay tribute to you and your teaching. I love that. And that he chose to say hi. And so hi back, Admiral.
Hi back. Hi back.
You have spoken about, like, in pursuing purpose, there are transformational moments, right? There are highs, there are lows. And I would be remiss if I didn't share the fact that we came together, Olenda and I, at a conference at Coach K's Duke Leadership school, right? At Duke.
Yeah, Leadership Summit or something like that. Yeah. Yep.
I invited her to come to Generation W. She didn't know really what it was, but I guess she trusted me enough in the time we spent. And then I asked her to speak, which she also hadn't really done. And you mentioned the other day that that was changing, transformative for you.
Absolutely.
How do unexpected experiences contribute to transformation?
Well, partly because you have to step out on faith to do them, right? If it's not something that you've ever done before, you've ever imagined for yourself, I've never imagined being on a stage speaking to thousand some odd people with, some expectation to pour into them. And so stepping out on faith to say yes, and then just the work to get there, and then to do it and realize that you have had an impact. Sherry and I, your teammate, after I think she's about to show a clip from that. After I got off the stage, I remember just hugging her, and that hug was, for me, was something just changed. Your purpose is going to be used in different ways, and that was the start of it. That
Yeah.
was really the start of it. Yeah.
Talk about the start of that. This is
Yeah.
Olenda's first appearance on the Generation W stage. By the way, it did result in a standing ovation. Go ahead, Sherry, why don't you play it?
I am a girl who truly believes that every person in this room here today has a special purpose in life to fulfill. Now, it may be that that purpose is not yet readily apparent, and that's okay. Don't lose hope. I've been there. My life forever changed when I read an editorial by the former editor of Essence magazine, Susan Taylor. And the editorial was, in fact, about finding your life's purpose. And in it, she wrote, "The thing you enjoy doing the most is the very thing you have been placed on this earth to do."
Remember
Wow.
that?
I do remember that. I do remember that. I also remember every time my sister sees that clip, she was like, "What's up with the helmet here?" So it's Jacksonville and humid.
It's something we can never escape, whatever our hair is. I do know. That's why we always have to be so careful. But yours looks beautiful. Everybody talks about how glowing you are, and you are.
Glory the Lord.
And since you've come back in, but you said that was the beginning of something. And I guess what I want everyone to hear is, like, there's new beginnings every day in terms of expectations.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's like you're I guess is what, at least what I've been experiencing, is that our purpose continues in seasons, and seasons change, right? Just like you have different climate seasons, you have different seasons of your purpose. So if I look back on my life, I can see the season of my purpose when I was teaching at the HBCU, and the season of my purpose here, and the season of my purpose in the being on the stage and sharing in those ways. And the challenge is being open to that, because it's scary when you've never done it and you don't know what it is or where it's going to take you. But I have in my faith tradition, there's a scripture that says your gifts will make room for you. And what that means is there will be places and opportunities that you can't even imagine where you will be using your gifts. And your challenge is to step out on faith so that you can use those gifts for the impact they're intended to have. My gifts aren't for me. I'm just the vessel to be used to have an impact on other people. I know.
I don't know. What do you know? Tell me what you know.
Well, no, I'm just looking at your face. I was like, I know that's a lot. I mean, I get the joy from fulfilling my purpose, but it's so much bigger than me, right? It's not about me. It's how can I meet someone else's need? What can I do for them? And I have to be in tune to my purpose in order to be able to be that thing for someone else.
Which is beautiful, right? And not necessarily enough of enough of being in the world we're living in now.
Yeah.
Where our kids are glued to screens and saying, what does the world do for me?
Yeah. It's the other way around.
I know. And the question, I guess the work that we're doing together, helping us lead, is how do we make that message stand out as attractive and attainable? I think everybody wants to attain that. I'm not even sure understand that they're not close to being there yet. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
The message seems to predominate at
Yeah.
the expense of the
Yeah.
beauty and power of we.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
what I'm
I don't think they have to be mutually exclusive, right? I can support me and we at the same time, right? I can, supporting me for me is finding enjoyment in that thing that gets me excited. But the we part of that is the thing that gets me excited isn't just focused on me, it involves we. I know, gosh, that was a lot of me and we.
No, but that's okay.
Right, but they don't, I think when there's an imbalance, when me begins to outweigh our thought about others in this world, then yeah, that becomes a challenge. But, I mean, me is self-care, for example, right? So self-care doesn't have to be a bad thing, right? It's the thing that I need. It's what you just described in the connections that you had with your event. That's necessary, but it also produces some goodness for the larger we.
So we have to find some balance. It's funny because
Yeah.
for women,
Yeah.
conversation, we're told we need to take care of ourselves first, but who of us really does that? And maybe it's not first, maybe it's just taking care of ourselves, however.
Period. Yeah.
And yet it is a challenge.
It is. It is. None of this is easy. I certainly don't want to present the notion that, somehow walking in your purpose is, all sunshine and flowers and it's easy to do. But there is something to be received from at least trying to recognize what is that thing that I can do? What is that thing that excites me? And how can it have an impact on
Right.
others around me?
And I'm going to ask this one more time. I'm hoping
Yeah.
that some of our guests are,
Yeah.
our
Yeah.
friends now,
Yeah.
would post what are the things that it gives them joy. I would just think
Yeah.
that would be great because I
Mm.
think sharing our joy
Mhm.
allows all of us to feel joy, even when we don't
Mhm.
think we're capable. So
Mhm.
if anybody
Mhm.
would want to post what they
Mhm.
feel joy in and we can share,
Mhm.
that would be really
Mhm.
terrific.
And
We're
I
going to talk
think,
about
sometimes people don't know what their joy is, and that might be part of it. They're reflecting like, okay, what is it that really gives me joy? And it doesn't have to be this big thing, right? It could be, you know what? I like hearing kids laugh. That brings me joy, right? So that's part of the challenge and what is great about the conversation that we're having is it gives us an opportunity to reflect on, what is it that brings me that joy? But I'm sorry, I cut you off.
no, you didn't. No,
Yeah.
absolutely. Like just taking time to think about it and reflect. Like
Yeah.
you're talking about, I hear you,
Mhm.
your purpose journey.
Yes. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
hope everyone hears those words. It is a journey and
It's
you're
a
on it.
journey.
You
Yeah.
can think on that journey. You can
Yeah.
write on that journey. You can share on that journey. So here we
Mhm.
go. Being in
Yeah.
nature gives me joy. Travel gives
Yes.
me joy. Connecting with
Yes.
family gives me joy. And Allison, thank you for sharing. I don't know Allison. Maybe
Yeah.
she's a friend
Mm.
to somebody here, but she's a friend of ours now. But she shared that she's blind, and yet
Oh, wow.
she loves to help people.
There you go. There you go. That's it. Absolutely.
How about this? Okay, I don't know who Cortez Dial is, but
Oh, so that's Colonel Cortez dial.
okay. Dr.
Yeah.
Johnson inspires joy when she teaches. It's simply amazing.
He's awesome.
Oh my God, April Erickson! I cannot believe you are here. April? All right, April is truly a rocket scientist. I don't know.
Wow.
She truly is. Successful
Wow.
NASA launches and missions. April spoke to our Gen Wow girls. If she was amazing. I have not heard from her in a while, and there she is.
Oh,
Joy
that's awesome.
people who I admire. Oh my
There you
gosh.
go.
All right,
That is
Basma, I love spending
phenomenal.
time with my son and baking new recipes.
Yes.
Joy.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
April, watching my daughter, who we got to meet, and her friends' happiness when they complete in volleyball and robotics. I hope they're not doing it at the same time, but maybe we'll have robotic volleyball players soon. I do not know.
I love it. I love that whole list and all of that can, oh man. I mean, if you just think about that list and what you can do with all of that joy, right? I love baking cookies and bringing that joy to someone else. That's an impact. That's having an impact. That's living out a purpose.
Without
And
a
it
doubt.
doesn't have to be one thing.
It doesn't have to be
It
one
doesn't
thing,
have to be one thing. Yeah.
especially in the gig economy. You can have 5 different jobs now.
Isn't that the truth?
I get a lot of joy out of so many things.
Yeah. That you do. Donna.
So I guess one last question for you.
Okay.
We bandy around the word leadership often.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds big. It sounds unapproachable. How do
Mm-hmm.
you make leadership personal and attainable as you approach teaching it?
So I mean, the way we think about and approach leadership and the work that we do is we make it about the person, right? As opposed to, here are the 6 steps to really effective leadership. There are plenty of books and resources that provide tips. But what we have found is how important it is to understand yourself, how you relate to others, and how that enables you to have the impact that you need to have. So, at its core, leadership is about understanding yourself.
Wow. Okay, I'm
Mhm.
going to repeat that. So
Yeah.
that's a great thing. All of this is
Yeah.
about finding joy is about understanding
Yeah.
yourself.
Yep.
All of it relates up to our purpose. So we
Yep.
need to take the time to
Yep.
understand ourselves. And Olenda knows this for those of you who don't spend time with us on Refresh, but I hope that you will continue to do that. Just because we love having conversations
Yeah.
like this, sharing them with you. I
Yeah.
always take notes. So Olenda,
Yes.
here's what I heard. Here's what I
Okay.
heard.
Yep.
One, we really must recognize the gifts that we have. And
Yes.
those gifts are directly related to our purpose and how we pour into others.
Yes.
I love when you said, I understand what they need. It doesn't mean I have to look like them, be them, or even have done their work. It comes from a place
Mm-mm.
of understanding, which again relates back to the gift,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Also, that we need to remind each other, as you do for your students and your leaders, that you have talent. You were selected for a reason. We need to look in
Mhm.
the mirror more and say, hello,
Yeah.
I'm okay.
Yes.
And that leadership ultimately is about understanding ourselves better. And I just want to
Mhm.
say thank you. I appreciate all of that. I am
Yeah.
so excited because I'll be getting to see you and all of you,
Yeah.
invite all of you to join me and Olenda and Sherry and so many of our other people who are here. There's more Generation W people on the team as we celebrate. For Generation W on Friday, April 5th, Olenda will be leading an incredible panel called I Believe In. Our theme is believe. And people have really taken to this theme. And I ask everybody why. I guess because it's about what we talked about today.
Yeah.
Right? It's about a personal
Mhm.
assessment and then how we connect to the world in greater ways. When it seems like what we believe in divides us, we believe that when we learn about what we believe, we can really bring each other together. In
Mhm.
addition, Dr. Johnson will be doing two workshops on leadership, and we're so happy and grateful.
Yeah.
We have all these other amazing speakers. Dr. Lamayam, the president of the University of North Florida, will be speaking on listening.
Mm.
I cannot wait for that. Leslie Zane will be speaking on leveraging instinctive minds. Actually, she's done a lot of research on instinct and persuasion. Lori Lee, a favorite of ours, she's going to be actually on your panel,
Mhm.
right? As will Patty
Yes.
McElroy. And
Yes.
Dr. Victoria Medvick is an expert on a negotiation. Boy, you got to believe what you're selling and buying when you negotiate. And then Dia Nguyen, who's been on our stage before, she is that lead ethicist actually at Amazon on AI, and she's going to do workshops on AI. And I know that we all look forward to learning from her. So it will be great, April 5th. Hope you can join us in person. But if you can't, I mean, Jacksonville, Florida is amazing. Our hotel on the beach is amazing. The people who come are amazing. But virtually, you'll get all that spirit too. And we're available both ways. We really worked on our virtual presentation. And we think it's
Fantastic.
the inspiration and knowledge.
Yeah.
If you want to join us again, we will be back for our last segment of Refresh because we are super, super charged on Generation W to celebrate International Women's Day. I have to just say that We have two women who have also been on our stage. Basma Alawee is an Iraqi-born, Florida-based activist on refugee issues. Actually, we spent some time recently talking about the situation that's happening in the world today. She won an Eve Award in 2020. Her gift, her purpose is so evident in helping others who experience a situation similar to hers, like try to find better lives. And then there's Roya Hakakian. Oh my goodness. She's a writer. She's an Iranian woman who left Iran because of the revolution. She spoke with us so much about the power of young women in Iran today to change the world, often at the expense of their lives. And as American women, clearly we want things to be better here, no matter what our ethnicity or our color, absolutely. But she reminds us that there are women truly struggling at the expense of their lives to change a culture and a society that will recognize them. And her power and her voice is amazing. So I can't wait. March 6th, maybe you'll join us as we celebrate International Women's Day and how we are all a sisterhood, the women of the world. Well, it's that time. Dr. Johnson, it's really great to be able to participate in this conversation, but more than that, celebrate in all the praise, recognition of your beauty, your talent, your contributions, and the gifts that you share with us. To all of you who joined us, thank you. You've made it a really special time, which is what we love to do, is create special times at Generation W. So we look forward to seeing you March 6th. Sherry, thank you for your production, for all of our team who've contributed. We appreciate that. All of you on Facebook, God bless, and Admiral. My salutes. Thank you all. We'll see you again.